Mahinda Rajapaksa assumes duties as the Prime Minister. New cabinet to be sworn in tomorrow in Kandy. Fire destroys 24 estate houses. A shooting reported opposite the White House.
Hello there and welcome to Lunchtime News here on Election First. My name is David Paldano. Now taking a look at one of the headline-making stories, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa assumed duties this morning. The event took place at Temple Trees premises. Prior to assuming duties, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa engaged in religious observances. After engaging in religious observances, the Prime Minister assumed duties this morning at the auspicious time. Mahinda Rajapaksa was sworn in before President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on the 9th of this month. The event took place in the Kalaniya Raja Mahaviharaya. Mahinda Rajapaksa obtained 527,364 preferential votes in the general election. It was marked as the instance in history where a candidate has obtained the highest number of preferential votes in a general election. Cabinet ministers and state ministers are to assume duties at the Magul Madhuvatta in Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic premises in Kandy before President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
The ministry structure, consisting of 28 ministries and 40 state ministries, were announced in an extraordinary Gazette notification yesterday. The composition of the ministries of the Declaration, Scope, Relevant Institutions and Effective Law ministries consists of 28 ministries and 40 state ministries. The allocation of subjects has been done in line with the Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor policy document. Accordingly, separate allocations are set to be made for the Cabinet of Ministers and the State Ministers. Meanwhile, the Presidential Media Unit issued a statement this afternoon stating that the ministries headed by the President and the Prime Minister also belong to the 28 relevant ministries. The announcement further states that national priorities, policy responsibilities and roles have been taken into consideration in the preparation of the ministries. The Presidential Media Unit states that the state ministries have been set up to facilitate the achievement of specific priorities and implementation of relevant programs according to the broader role of each ministry.
The United National Party says UNP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe at a meeting with former parliamentarians and party seniors yesterday made it clear that the party needs new leadership. According to a statement from the UNP, Wickremesinghe has informed those at the meeting to discuss the matter with the respective groups and thereafter conveyed to the next working committee meeting. It adds Wickremesinghe had pointed out the need for a mechanism for an overall reconstructing of the UNP and to move towards a victorious path. 24 houses in the Bambaragala estate in Lindula were destroyed by a fire that erupted last night.
According to the police, the fire was ignited through an electricity leak. It was reported that no lives were lost due to the fire. A total of 70 people were affected by the incident. Our correspondent reported that after 3 hours, the area residents and the Lindula police were able to douse the fire.
Villagers in Tanhena Matra are facing a drinking water problem.
About 72 families reside in Tanhena Matra. These villagers previously resided in Kotapola area in Moravaka. However, that area was overflooded and thereafter moved to the new village. This was in the year 2016. Up to now, no drinking water supply has been established for them. Due to this reason, these villagers have to travel 5 kilometers to buy water. They request for a solution to their problem.
Now in your COVID-19 update, the total number of reported COVID-19 cases in the island increased to 2,871. 27 COVID-19 patients were detected yesterday. The health ministry stated that 267 are currently receiving treatment at hospitals. The total recoveries stand at 2,593. The National Center for the Prevention of the Spread of COVID-19 states that 172,972 PCR tests have been conducted in Sri Lanka to identify infected COVID-19 people. The center stated that a total of 1,310 PCR tests were carried out. Issuing a statement, the Government Information Department said 4 returnees from the United Arab Emirates and 23 patients quarantined at the Senapura Treatment and Rehabilitation Center have tested positive. Meanwhile, 41 Sri Lankans who were stranded in Doha arrived in the island today. All of them have been directed to quarantine facilities. 118 people are expected to complete their quarantine and depart to their homes today. Fishermen have been unable to engage in fishing activities due to the increase in wind speeds in the sea areas of the island.
Our correspondent stated that about 50 one-day vessels sail from the Tangol fishing harbour daily. A significant number of multi-day fishing vessels also set off the sea from the Tangol port. It was said that fishermen are avoiding going to sea due to the increase in wind speed around the island. According to our correspondent, there is a shortage of fish stocks at the Tangol market. It is reported that due to the high demand, the prices of fish has increased. The fishermen say that they have refrained from setting sail for a week.
Meanwhile, a meeting of party leaders affiliated with the Samagi Jana Balavega is currently being held at the party headquarters in Atulkote.
එහෙම මොකුත් නැහැ. මේක අපි සුවඳව විසඳ ගන්නවා. නෑ නෑ අපිට එකක් ලැබිය යුතුයි. ඉතින් ඒ වගේම ඒ ඔක්කොම ලිඛිතව තියෙන එකඟතා
දෙන්න බෑ කිව්වොත්
ඒව ඉතින් ඒව පස්සේ බලමු.
මනෝ මහත්තයා නම් රතුලිය කියන බෑ කියලා අපි යනවා කියලා නේද? දෙන්න බෑ කිව්වොත්
මේ තීන්දුවකට කවුරුත් එන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. මේක ඇවිල්ලා අපි සුවඳව විසඳා ගැනීමට පුළුවන් කියලා අපි හිතනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ආණ්ඩුවේ පිරිස් කියන තරම් ගැටුමක් නැහැ නේද?
එහෙම ගැටුමක් නැහැ.
බලමු අපි සාකච්ඡා කරලා ඔක්කොම තීන්දුව දැනුම් දෙන්න.
හොඳ තීරණයක් වෙයි.
අපි ගන්න තීන්දුව ඔක්කොම හොඳ තීන්දුව.
මේ අපි දවසට ගන්න අවස්ථාවක් වෙනවද?
බලමු මේක සාකච්ඡා කරලා අපි තීන්දුව ගන්නවා.
Now, due to a blockage of the drainage system located in front of the Gampa District Hospital,
Area residents claim that there is an increased risk of dengue because water is stagnated at the location. The responsibility of cleaning the drainage lies with the municipal council. Residents request the drainage system to be fixed.
Now on to international news making headlines. Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police and the Secret Service set up heavy security around the White House yesterday after a shooting incident disrupted U.S. President Donald Trump's news briefing.
Going to be, I mean, the way they're going, it looks like they're just about going to be topping records hopefully soon. Excuse me?
US President Donald Trump was abruptly escorted from the White House briefing room by Secret Service agents shortly after he began briefing reporters yesterday. Trump returned to the media room several minutes later and said a person has been shot by law enforcement and taken to hospital. He said he understood the suspect had been armed. He said the shooting was near the fence at the edge of the White House grounds. The Secret Service said in a tweet, quote, "The investigation into the USSS officer involved in the shooting is ongoing. A male suspect and the officer were both transported to a local hospital. At no time during this incident was the White House complex breached or were any protectees in danger," end quote. The doors to the White House briefing room were locked shortly before Trump was escorted out. Trump said nobody else was wounded in the shooting. He praised the Secret Service response and said the agency would have more details on the event later. Meanwhile, Lebanon's government has stepped down as Prime Minister Hassan Diab blamed endemic corruption for a devastating explosion last week that tore through the capital and left more than 200 people dead. The president accepted Diab's resignation yesterday and asked the government to stay in a caretaker capacity until a new cabinet was formed. Tensions have been boiling over in the country following the massive explosion at Beirut's port that killed some 200 people and wounded 6,000 others. In a televised statement, Diab said this crime was a result of the corruption that is bigger than the state, adding that he was taking a step back so he could stand with the people and fight the battle for change alongside them. The development follows a weekend of angry, violent anti-establishment protests in which 728 people were wounded and one police officer was killed amid a heavy crackdown by security forces. In more international news, large cracks have reportedly appeared in the hull of a cargo ship leaking in the Mauritius, prompting the Prime Minister to warn that it may break in two. The MV Wakashino, believed to have been carrying 4,000 tons of fuel oil, ran aground on a coral reef off the Indian Ocean island on the 25th of July. Despite bad weather, the Prime Minister said 500 tons have been safely pumped out yesterday. Fuel has been transferred to shore by helicopter and to other ships owned by the same Japanese firm Nagashinki Shipping. But he warned the country was preparing for a worst-case scenario. Mauritius is home to the world-renowned coral reefs, and tourism is a crucial part of its economy. Police in Belarus's capital Minsk have fired rubber bullets for a second night to quash protesters following Sunday's disrupted presidential election. Officials say one demonstrator died when an explosive device went off in his hand, the first confirmed casualty since the clashes began. Autocratic President Alexander Lukashenko won 80% of the vote. His main rival Svetlana refused to accept the results, saying she was the real winner. A lack of scrutiny, low observers were present, has led to an allegation of widespread vote rigging in the poll. The election was held amid growing frustration at Lukashenko's leadership, with opposition rallies attracting large crowds. The preceding days saw a crackdown on activists and journalists. Lukashenko, in power since 1994, has described opposition supporters as sheep controlled from abroad and vowed not to allow the country to be torn apart. Well, of course, that is a wrap of lunchtime news here on Election First. For more news, log on to our award-winning website, www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First team, I'm David Paldano. Take care.